Hello everyone, my name is Scousmouse and welcome back to another one of my videos. I hope you all had a lovely Christmas and I hope you were all behaving. And today, as you can probably tell behind me, I'm going to be talking about something from the latest Minecraft update. Now, this has been creating quite a buzz around the Minecraft community, and it's going to change things quite a lot, especially in the Redstone world, as people figure out the new mechanics and how best to utilise them. Now, of course, what we're going to be talking about, as you've probably guessed from looking behind me, is cows. Now, cows were added in, am I joking? We're talking about bees and honey blocks and all that kind of stuff. Now, these were added in Java Edition, which is what I play in, on version 1.15, and the latest update is 1.15.1. So we will be talking about that today, and then I will also give a tutorial of a really simple honeycomb and honey farm. So, without further ado, let's get started. The first thing we should talk about with bees is where you can find them in your world. Bees will only spawn in certain biome types, and they are plains, sunflower plains, and flower forest biomes. Okay, now they will only spawn in areas that have not yet been explored. So if you've got worlds that you've been playing for a little while, in order to find bees, you are going to have to go out and discover new biomes of those types in order to find these cute little things spawning, and you will find them in their nests here. Now these nests, as you can see, are dripping with honey, and the way the bees fill them with honey is by getting the nectar from flowers. So if you find them, you'll normally find flowers nearby, and you can always tell when the hive is full. Not the hive, the nest, sorry. Hive, slightly different, because they will have honey dripping from them. And to harvest the honey from them, you will firstly, if you have any sense, place a campfire underneath it and let the smoke reach up to it. Two ways you can harvest from a hive or nest. The first one is using shears, and what this will do is give us honeycomb. Now watch, there's no fire under this now. Now watch the eyes of these ladies here. They've gone all red and all angry, and they're buzzing round, very annoyed. And that is because I've taken the honeycomb. Now because I'm in creative, they haven't come after me. If I was in survival, they would be swarming all over me and stinging me. If bees do sting you, then you will get poisoned. They'll do you a little bit of damage, but one sting shouldn't really be killing you off too much. Just run away if that's the case. But the bee that does sting you, that like real life, that bee will die. It will lose its stinger. As you can see, they do have stingers. They will lose the stinger, and then that bee will die after a couple of moments. But after a few minutes anyway, they do calm down and their eyes will go black again. The other way to harvest from these is with a bottle. If you harvest them with a bottle, you will get honey instead of the honeycomb you can see in my hotbar here. Now, with a fire underneath, if you harvest from it, you will get your honey. And honey and honeycomb have two different uses. So let's go and talk about that now. So, from this conveniently placed wall here, you can see the uses for both of these items. Honeycomb can be used to make honeycomb blocks, and they are purely decorative. There's no purpose for them other than being a really pretty block, and one that also makes a very cool noise when you place it down. Squidge. And the other thing you can make with the honey is honey blocks. Now honey blocks have some really funny properties. They're quite similar to slime, but they're also very different. The first thing you'll notice with honey, if I just change my camera around here, you can't jump very high at all. It's really sticky and you can't jump. You won't even be able to jump on top of a block from it. So if there's honey there, you will have to come out. The second thing is for walking across walls, you can use that to cover some distance. Now you're not going to be able to get over ravines or anything huge, but it does slow your descent down, so you're not just going to fall to your doom. The other use of it is that it won't stick to slime, so you can use them in your redstone builds. But if I throw, let's come on top and do this here. If I throw one entity there and one there, oh, the nuisance. Let's try it there, and this just doesn't like me today, does it? One there and one there. So we can see they are pretty much next to each other. Now if I activate the pistons, you'll see the entity that is on the honey block is moving. It's sticking to it, whereas the one on the slime isn't moving at all. That is just staying perfectly still. So it'll be interesting to see how this mechanic will be utilised as people learn a little bit more and how this works. So you can see the difference there. Jump on slime, you're bouncy. Jump on honey, you ain't going nowhere. Right, so let's go and have a look at how. Now we know what we can get from these guys. We need to look at how we can get it in a farming situation. Now the first thing you're going to need to do is let me just get a flower here. Let's just get ourselves let's get a stack of poppies, eh? Right, bees firstly are bred using flowers. Now we're going to have to wait for them to come out of the hives here. Let's just break that case. Okay, so as you can see, they're going to follow me as soon as they see me with a flower. Now as soon as we find another one, come on. So to breed bees, what we're going to do is we're going to get ourselves a flower, and you can see they're instantly attracted to this flower. So this not only is a way to breed them, but if you need to move them from one area to another, so I've got my farm over there we'll be building in a minute. If you needed to get your bees in, you can use this method to get them there. Now I don't want to take them too far away from home. Come on ladies. And to breed them, as with other animals, click on them with the item and they will breed, and you'll get a little baby bee. Isn't that cute? It's so cute. Okay, now both hives and nests can each support 3 bees. So bear that in mind when you're breeding them, that you don't want to have too many. Now, what you can do is actually pick these up and take them with you. If you want to take them with you with the bees inside, you will need Silk Touch. So preferably a Silk Touch axe. But if you've not got a Silk Touch axe, you can also use a Silk Touch pick. So if you wait till there's 3 bees in there, because they will go in, they'll get all the nectar, they will go in there, start doing the thing. If you harvest it then with a Silk Touch axe or pick, the bees will still be in there when the item drops. So then you can transfer that into your farm. Now, there's no real difference between the two. They're both, functionality-wise, the same. It's just the aesthetics, whichever one you prefer to have in your farm. In my farm, I have the nest because I think it looks a bit prettier, but the choice is yours. If you want it to be more realistic, hive is probably what you would have in a real, it's what bees live in when people do have bees. Now, let's go over and have a look at the farm itself. I love this bee, by the way. So we'll just fly over like a bee to the farm and have a look at what we've got here. Now, it is really, really simple. So this has been running since just before I started recording this video, and as you can see, we've already got some honey and some honeycomb. Ignore the fact that I've got glass bottles there for now. I'll explain why there is empty glass bottles in there in a few moments. So they're all inside at the moment. The way this farm works is we've got a nice little area for them to live, and we have 2 hives. Now you can have as many hives as you want in these, really, just make it as big as you want, but make sure you've got space for them to fly around and enough flowers to support the number of bees. And the mechanic of this is working the same as a sheep wool farm, really. We've got an observer looking into the nest, and then a dispenser which is loaded with glass bottles on this side, and on this side I've got shears. So this one, the way I have it set up, is collecting both honey and honeycomb at the same time. So once they harvest, it's got to throw them on the floor like you've just seen happen there, and then we have a collection system underneath. So let's go and have a look at that collection system and how that works. It's a minecart hopper, so anything that drops on the ground above will be collected by the minecart, and then that will drop them into this chest here, and then everything else is purely decorative. You can choose any flower to go in there as long as it's only 1 block high. You can't use the 2 block high flowers like the rose bush. Okay, so just bear that in mind when you're doing this. Okay, so now let's talk about how we build this thing. To build this honey farm, we're going to need an area that is 8 by 8. It will actually come out one more at the front just to allow for these steps, but that is optional. Okay, and the materials we're going to need are in here. Now, I've not put amounts because I forgot to count them before I started recording, but you know, it's everything you need here is easily obtainable in the game. Nothing is tricky at all. So let's pick everything up and get started. The first thing we're gonna do is look at our collection system. So we're gonna do that by, in the middle 2 blocks, placing hoppers. No, we're not. We're going to place chests first. We're going to place 2 chests, and then behind that we're going to have hoppers going into the chests. Now we're going to get some steps, and we're going to take them going right the way around the perimeter, like so. Go. Now we're gonna take out now this 3rd from back row and replace that with redstone blocks. Now this is just going to be to power the rails once we have them in place, and we're now going to lay down the rails. So we'll start with the normal rails, and we want at the front just 1 row going right the way across. Then we're going to bring this all the way back, placing a powered rail on the redstone, and the same this way. And we should, if we've done this right, it should all join back up nice and lovely. So obviously once we put a minecart hopper on here, it's going to keep going forever and ever. Now you can start this off now if you wish, which I will, and that is just going to keep going around and around until we tell it to stop. And we will put a couple of glass blocks on top of the chest so we can still access it. Now we want to get ourselves some grass blocks, and we want to fill this area above the rails with grass blocks. Now there's 2 ways you can get grass blocks. You can either pick them up with a shovel which has silk touch on, or the other way you can do it is to place fill this with dirt blocks, just normal dirt blocks, but make sure there's grass on the ground. If you place a stairway of dirt going up, a stairway of dirt going from an area of grass, over time the grass will creep up, and then this entire area will become grass. Nice and simple. So now we've got our area of dirt there, we're gonna go back to our steps, and we're gonna place a row of upside down steps. Now this is all just cosmetic, this bit. This isn't, you know, this is just to make it look a bit pretty. Okay, nice and simple. And then if you want to add a stairway like I have done over there, then we're going to do that by placing blocks here, here and here. And that gives us a nice little archway into our farm. Now, the way I've done this is to add glass blocks right the way around, but I've not done the corners because the corners tend to be the decorative bit. So we will leave that, you know, where I've got the honeycomb blocks there, and we want to add 4 rows of glass here. Now I've left that one gap there because that's going to be our door in case we ever need to come back in, and obviously we'll need that to get our bees in if we're luring them in manually. So this is our 3rd row. And then one more. Now we won't put the roof on just yet, just so we've got a bit of space to work. But we'll drop down. Did I put a door here? I did. So we will add the door. So now we've got the basics of our farm. So now we need to look at the actual redstone itself and how we're going to be doing that. Now, like I say, this size supports comfortably 2 hives or nests, depends on which you choose to use. Now, I've not actually picked up here any scaffolding, but I like to have scaffolding because I think it looks a bit more realistic. If you've ever seen people who do have beehives, they're quite often on stands that look a bit like this. So the first thing we're gonna do, let's go back to my inventory here. I've got my nests. Now when I first place these nests, these are empty. There's no bees in them, so we don't need to worry about that. And I'm just gonna place a temporary block behind it for now. Yeah, you can either leave that there or you can remove it when we're finished. So we're going to place a dispenser looking into the nest. And then we're going to get an observer. And we're going to have the observer facing down into the nest. And I've gone up too high. So we want it so that little red dot is at the top. Okay, because what that's going to do, when the nest changes state, so when it's full of honey and it changes state, the observer will go ooh, and it will send a little redstone signal out of its backside, and we want that signal to be picked up by these dispensers, and we're doing that by placing a block there and then getting some redstone dust and then putting 2 dots of redstone dust there like that, and that is all the redstone for this build complete. It couldn't be any simpler, which leaves us just a couple of things to do. Now we can remove that block if we want. That is totally up to you. I think I will leave it because there's not going to be any purpose for underneath it. And the next thing we'll do is we will put a roof on. Now you can put any kind of roof that you want on this. I personally like to use half slabs. And the reason I like to use half slabs is when you use half slabs like this, they are a bottom slab, which will mean that this top area is totally non-spawnable. So you will not get any bad guys spawning on top of your honey farm. Because everyone knows, it's common knowledge, zombies love honey. Okay, I don't know if that's true, but it sounds good, so just go with it. And so we have our roof complete with the exception of that. Now, you can do what you want with these corners. You could even have more nests to fill the corners, you could just have blocks, but I do like the look of the honeycomb in the corners. I think it just makes it stand out and makes it look really pretty, and everyone knows it is a bee farm. There we go. So we now just need to prime it, don't we? So we're just going to get ourselves some flowers. Now all these flowers here are fine to use as long as it's only 1 block high. So we can have oxeye daisies, we can have poppies, we can have dandelions, tulips. I'll just stick with these 3 for now. So we're going to go in and pop them around. Now, if you're in a place where there's not many flowers around you, let me show you a way to get flowers. If you pick some bone meal and you bone meal the floor, from time to time you will get some flowers. There you go. So we could always just pick them flowers up and pop them inside there. Nice and simple. Now, we need to get some bees in here, don't we? Now, there's a couple of ways to do that. You could either bring over a fully loaded nest or hive if you've primed it elsewhere. You know, if the ones that I've got over there, if I was to just carry one over, I could just place that and then the bees will get straight to work. If you are going to do that, make sure you place the hive last. When you're building it, place a temporary block. Maybe place a honey, and then when everything is ready to go, replace it with the nest, like so. Otherwise you'll have bees flying everywhere before you're ready for them, and it becomes a bit of a nightmare. So we're going to pop our shears in one, and then we've lost our glass bottles for some reason. That's not going to do it at all, is it? Glass bottles. Now, I mentioned earlier on we're going to go through quite a lot of glass bottles with this. When the bees go in and out of the hive, the observer will pick that up as a block update. So the dispenser will fire, which means it's going to be kicking out empty bottles. Now, it's important that you keep this full, otherwise it's gonna start going wrong. So just make sure you've got a lot of glass bottles in there. You could also have, if you wanted to, a hopper coming out the back with a chest and fill those up with glass bottles. Shears, you don't have to worry about too much, just keep your eye on them, make sure they're not going to break. So this is ready to go. We just need the bees, don't we? Now I'm going to cheat here because I'm in creative, and I'm going to shut my door first, and then I'm going to put 6 bees because I've got 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now they should go straight to work on the flowers. Now if you watch the back sides of the bees, once they've got all the nectar that they need, that texture will change, and that's how you know they're going to head to a hive or a nest. Let's just wait and see. Normally only takes a little moment. Oh, one of them's done it. See that? They're getting spotty bums. And then they go into their hives or their nests. You're the slow coach. Go on, in you go. And you can also hear that they're in there. It's making a liar of me. No, never mind. So then we can just leave this to do its thing, and then bees will collect all the nectar from the flowers, produce honey, and then the redstone will do its thing, and we will end up with what we need down there. And that is how to make a really, really simple honeycomb and honey farm. So I hope you've enjoyed this video and found it useful. Bees are still very new to the game, so we're all still learning how best to utilise the mechanics of them, and the new blocks that they've added to the game with the honey and the honeycomb. So any questions or comments, leave them down below, and I hope that you've already hit that subscribe button. If you haven't, now's your chance, and also give this video a like, as that really does help the channel out. And until next time, Scouse Mouse out.